Here's Josh Hennig.
Monday edition of Game Night. Josh Hennig hanging out with you. The Power Hour on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. Glad to have you guys on board the show today. Just me and you for the next hour. Phillies at the All-Star break. Some Sixers news that has come down the lane. Plus, I'll get your guys' thoughts on tonight's home run derby. I like this format. I'm a fan of the format of the home run derby, so I am interested whenever this goes. I think the home run derby is actually more interesting than the All-Star game itself at this point because of the way the bracket is set up. And I'll give you some thoughts and picks for the event today. By the way, if you were to listen to me on Friday's show, I told you guys to take Robbie Lawler plus 195. Well, that was a winner over the weekend. So we'll see if we can get you a couple more winners tonight for the home run derby. As always, 609-403-0973. That is the text board to jump on the show. You also can DM us through the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. I will start with the Phillies before I get to the Sixers, because when you look at a situation like this, for the Phillies, they are the only game in town right now. We are another about 3 weeks away from being deep in the Eagles training camp. We are basically 3 months away from being into what is technically Sixers season, even though for a lot of people, you don't really care that much about the NBA in October. You start caring around Christmas time. So the truth is that this is the Phillies' time of year. And for the Phillies, even though that yesterday's loss was, well, I'll call it disappointing, to put it lightly, you're still in a good spot because you had the second most wins in all of baseball in the month of June. You swept one of the best teams in the American League, the Tampa Bay Rays. And frankly, if it wasn't for some great pitching this weekend by the Marlins, you probably would have won at least one more game in that series. So now you're at the All-Star break, 48-41. You're right there in the running for the All-Star, for the wild card. And frankly, you're probably in better position this year with the wild card than last year because the National League is down across the board. There really is no team that is running away in the wild card standings, even though the Phillies at 48 wins are, they're half a game out of the final wild card spot, and they're 3.5 games behind the Marlins. You're still right there with these teams. And two big things have happened in recent weeks that propelled the Phillies to this point. Obviously, their pitching was absolutely on fire in the month of June. Walker, Suarez, Wheeler had an amazing month of June. And aside from yesterday's game, you have to give Aaron Nola a lot of credit because he's been better in his recent starts. But frankly, if you weren't facing Luzardo and Garrett, one could make the argument that you probably would have had a chance to win this series. Now, that's not to say that Braxton Garrett, who frankly still sounds like a fullback for the Michigan Wolverines, and Luzardo, who, he looked like one of the best left-handed pitchers all of baseball yesterday. The way he was wheeling and dealing out there. We know that the issue for the Phillies is facing left-handed pitching, and they were exposed by it the last 2 days. It looked like they could have had a chance to win Saturday's game when I went back and watched it, but yesterday it just felt kind of hopeless for the whole game, the way that game was playing out, especially with Aaron Nola giving up all those home runs. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise that this team is at the All-Star break, because they were talking to John Kruk about this on the post game yesterday, and Krucker mentioned about how for a lot of players, getting to the All-Star break is important because a majority of players don't actually go to the All-Star game. They get to hit the midseason reset button, I'll call it. And Kruk made a great point. He said, there are a lot of times when I was playing, John Kruk said, that I was excited to get to the All-Star break because I had an opportunity to unplug, decompress, and then come back with a refreshed mindset. And you have to wonder, how important is this All-Star break for a handful of guys? Bryce Harper, it looks like he's a no serious injury, but you have to think having the All-Star break is a good opportunity for him to hit the reset button. Schwarber, he doesn't look like he's 100% healthy. There's an opportunity for him to hit the reset button. Trey Turner, doesn't have to be an All-Star, gets to go home, sleep in for a day or two. He gets to hit the reset button. There's a lot of players. JC Realmuto, he's played a lot of games in the first half. He gets to go home and hit the reset button. The fact that you only have Castellanos and Kimbrel going to the All-Star game, Castellanos, who's having an all-around really good year, and Kimbrel, who has been really good in recent weeks. Excuse me, a little more than recent weeks. I think Kimbrel, I got to double check, but I feel like outside of April, I was looking this up earlier. Outside of April, he has had a good year. And it's nice to see the Phillies get two guys in the game. Even though Kimbrel on the year has a 3.41 ERA, which is solid, it's good, it's not great. To me, the bigger point is that he has responded. He was, the relief pitcher of the month for the month of June. I'm going to go back to from May 1st to now. And you look at his pitching numbers, he has a 3.12 ERA from May 1st to basically this weekend. And he has appeared in 27 games. And in those 27 games, he's pitched really good. 42 strikeouts, 26 innings pitched. 154 batting average against. He's pitching really good. So it's cool to see him get in there. I wasn't sure if he was going to get in or not because, again, the ERA was looking a little bloated. And frankly, if you only go from June 1st to now, that's really where he's hit his stride. That's where he's got in those 17 games from June 1st to now. That's where he's got the 0.53 ERA. That's where he's got the 123 batting average against. That's where he's got the 25 strikeouts versus only 3 walks in 17 innings pitched. And when he pitches, the Phillies are 14-3 from June 1st to now. So Kimbrel has gotten really hot in recent weeks. So it's cool to see those guys go, but those guys are really not as much in need of hitting that reset button. Castellanos needs to keep hitting. Castellanos needs to keep going. It feels like Nick has finally found his groove in Philadelphia. And Kimbrel, again, outside of the first month of the season, he's been good overall this year. And he had a phenomenal month of June. Let the guys who were hot keep playing. And let the guys like Realmuto and Harper and Schwarber and Turner, let those guys go home, take a mental break, take a physical break, hit the reset button, and come back for the second half of the season refreshed. And like I said, the fact that you are right there for that third All-Star, for the third wildcard spot at the All-Star break is a huge sign that the Phillies are still contenders. Look, they are way ahead of the Padres. They are 6 games. Just think about that for a minute. They're 6 games ahead of the Padres. Padres have 47 losses this year. The Phillies have 41. The Padres offense has scored the same number of runs as the Phillies. So for the people who are crying about the Phillies offense, the Brewers have scored less runs than you. The Padres have scored the same amount of runs as you. The Giants have only scored 15 more runs. I mean, the large scheme of things, it's not nothing. And that team, the Marlins, just beat you 2 out of 3. They scored less runs than you. The Marlins beat you because of their pitching, not because they're a much better baseball team than you are. So the Phillies are right there in the conversation. And hopefully coming out of the break, Bryce Harper gets some reps for a couple weeks at first base, and he has the opportunity to show that, hey, I can play first base. I'm not injured anymore. I can be a contributor for this team. And you can go get an outfielder who can play left field so Kyle Schwarber can be a full-time DH. I don't think Schwarber's a horrible athlete, but I do think he looks injured sometimes. Watching the way he runs, he looks like he's a little ginger with his legs. Something, an ankle or a knee or a calf or something obviously is going on with him. And I think that's a huge reason why he has been so poor in the outfield. Josh Hennick here on Game Night, 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Text board is open, 609-403-0973. You can tell me your thoughts on the Phillies at the All-Star break. Look, it's obvious that they need another right-handed outfielder at this point. But I don't even know what that's going to do. I don't know what having another outfielder is going to solve necessarily. Because you can get a serviceable guy. But if that guy strikes out just as much as everybody else does, what does it matter? Mike Gill spoke about earlier on the Sports Bash today on 97.3 ESPN about all the strikeouts Phillies had this weekend. Well, the problem is that you can acquire somebody and that person can still strike out just like everybody else. So while getting a right-handed batter who can play left field is definitely going to give some more balance to this lineup, it's no guarantee that that guy is going to produce the way you need him to make a trade like this worth it. And I think that's where it gets difficult, because it's very difficult to rationalize that a team like the Phillies is going to be able, unless something crazy happens, to go out and get a monster move. This is an organization that has been very apprehensive at giving up prospects. This is an organization that has been very disinterested in giving up their guys for nothing. They are not going to give up prospects just because they give up prospects. They have to get a certain return on that trade, and I don't know if they're going to find it. For all the people who keep questioning what is James Harden's value worth, frankly, I'm not worried about James Harden's value. Harden has value. Question is, what on earth are the Phillies going to trade if they trade anybody? I think most people agree they're not trading Andrew Painter. I know Mick Abel is supposed to be this top prospect. I was looking him up earlier. He's got a 4.75 ERA in Double-A. Griff McGarry is having a solid but not great year. Justin Crawford just played in the Futures game. He was solid. He was a good player. What are you trading? What are you giving up? I think it's a huge part of it moving forward. All right, still to come here on Game Night. A little bit later, I will give you my thoughts on the home run derby tonight. By the way, how about this for a little bit of an omen? Mookie Betts just told the media that my chances are pretty low talking about the home run derby tonight. So I don't know. Maybe Mookie's telling you ahead of time, don't bet on me. We'll get into that a little bit later. But coming up next, Joel Embiid said what about James Harden? Well, Joel Embiid was asked about the James Harden situation, and his answer may surprise you. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle.
Tomorrow on ESPN Radio.
Wow! The other way for Corey Seager. That's some kind of power.
The 2023 Major League Baseball All-Star Game.
That one is gone. Mookie Betts with the home run.
The Midsummer Classic from Seattle, Washington.
Swing and a miss. Struck him out.
The 93rd Major League Baseball All-Star Game. Coverage begins tomorrow at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio. You can also listen on the ESPN app. Listen to Major League Baseball on 97.3 ESPN.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who pay attention to every little detail. The ones who fuss, tinker, and sweat the small stuff. Because you know the tiniest thing can make the biggest difference when it comes to keeping business moving. We get it. We're the same way, offering access to product experts to help you quickly and easily find what you need. So whatever your industry, you know you're always getting professional-grade products. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, it's Mike Gill. Experience a culinary journey like no other at Trio North Wildwood. Chef Gus Zimmerman creates mouth-watering dishes that showcase the freshest ingredients with something for everyone, including gluten-free options so that all can indulge in the wonderful cuisine. From their juicy pork chop to their savory crab shrimp cakes, every dish is prepared with care and precision. Book your table on Resi and experience the ultimate casual fine dining experience at Trio North Wildwood, 700 New Jersey Avenue, North Wildwood. Chef-driven, quality-focused, TrioNW.com.
Yo, babe, this one still needs to be vacuumed.
The service at Chuck's car detailing business is spotless, but new word-of-mouth recommendations leave him short of hands.
They don't have an appointment? Just get him in line behind the pickup truck. I'll stay for another couple hours and get it done tonight.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
No matter the make, no matter the mileage, no matter what you owe, Matt Blatt Kia wants your vehicle today. We need to replenish our inventory, so we need your vehicle, no matter what your situation is. Even if you're stuck in a loan or a lease, Matt Blatt Kia wants to get you released. Get cash for your car today. Even if you don't buy a car from us and don't pay high interest rates, get to Matt Blatt Kia and drive home a brand new Kia with super low APR financing and zero down payment on every new Kia in stock. Plus, with Matt Blatt Kia's certified lenders, we finance your future, not your past. Even first-time buyers can drive with peace of mind with our exclusive 4-day love it or leave it return policy. So bring any trade during Kia summer sales event.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, not all will qualify. Go to mattblattkia.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer except for licensing, registration, and taxes. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
As a dentist, I know what my patients are saying when they really can't speak. She says her gums have been bleeding. Is there anything you can do? Absolutely. You can try New Crest Gum Detoxify and Restore. Yep, New Crest Gum Detoxify and Restore is professionally designed to start healing gums from day one. Right. Healthy gums, healthy mouth.
Crest Gum Detoxify and Restore. Smile, Crest has you covered.
Hey, this is Josh from 97.3 ESPN. If your air conditioning isn't keeping you cool, or if you're worried about sky-high electric bills, I recommend you call Jenkins Plumbing and Heating today about a new system from American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning or a Mitsubishi ductless system. Take advantage of financing of up to $15,000 from South Jersey Gas or Atlantic City Electric. New AC system can save you 25 to 35% on your AC. 609 at JenkinsandSons.com.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Don't forget your next opportunity to qualify for the Phillies trip giveaway coming up in about, what is that, 33 minutes from now? Caller 6 and 7. Today is one of the last days to qualify. Of course, you've been to be present this Friday at Yuri's Waterfront Restaurant in Wildwood, where Mike Yell Sports Bash will be broadcasting live from 2 to 6 p.m. You qualify, caller 6 and 7. Coming up in about 33 minutes from now. You must be present to win. Of course, you want to learn more about Yuri's Waterfront Restaurant in Wildwood. Go check out my latest article over at 973ESPN.com and on the 973 ESPN mobile app. So obviously this James Harden saga continues. It has been a long, winding situation. And a lot of people have had a lot of different things to say about it. Well, finally, we heard from Joel Embiid. Rachel Nichols from Showtime used to be with ESPN. Now she's working with Showtime Sports. She got a chance to have a one-on-one with Joel Embiid. And when she asked Joel Embiid about James Harden, I thought his answer was very eye-opening because James Harden has, across the trade. Harden himself has not spoken anything publicly, nor should he have to necessarily. Okay, he doesn't have to say anything publicly. But I thought it was interesting what Joel Embiid still said about James Harden when he was asked, "How do you feel about James Harden asking for a trade?" Joel Embiid told Rachel Nichols of Showtime Sports this.
Disappointed, but then again, I also understand, it's business. People make decisions, and and I'm more appreciative of the way he's handled the whole situation. We gonna be boys forever. Want him to come back, obviously, so we can go out and accomplish what we want, which is to win the championship. So hopefully that his mindset can be changed. But other than that, I'm just so happy to be, his friend. We close and we've grown since he got here, and that's what I'm excited about. And I'm excited to keep that friendship for the rest of our lives.
That answer tells you a lot about Joel Embiid's mindset because he opens the first part of the audio saying, "Hey, I'm disappointed, but it's a business. I understand these things happen." That was a very mature answer about Joel. Joel is a guy that people have had a lot of criticisms about. Some of it warranted, sometimes it's not been warranted. But Joel is the kind of guy who, has kind of been misinterpreted, misunderstood at times. And so I think that it was good to hear him be so brutally honest about, hey, I'm disappointed, but I understand it's a business. The second part of what he said I thought was just as eye-opening because the way he talked about James Harden, you never heard him talk about Ben Simmons that way. Everything about Ben Simmons was either, very matter of fact, like, yeah, he's an all-star. Yeah, he's our point guard. He's my teammate. Or it was passive aggressive when he would say, hey, some of us need to do better. Some of us need to be better and stuff like that. He was very honest, and him and James Harden are friends. That's a completely different set of circumstances. For a guy like him to come out and just kind of say, hey, we're boys, we're friends. I want him to play here. I want him to be here. We'll always be friends for life, no matter what happens. I think it's a massive sign that Joel Embiid is not pushing for James Harden to leave. That Harden leaving has everything to do with his own choice, his own decisions. And between Joel Embiid saying what he said and then Pat Beverly saying at today's press conference that introduced him and Mo Bamba to the media, Pat Bev for like a lack of a better term, he's basically replacing Tyrese Maxey on this roster, and Mo Bamba is basically replacing George Niang. That's who the replacements are. Pat Beverly said, "Hey, I came here because I want to play with James Harden." You have now two guys saying they would like to play with Harden. It has to make you wonder, so why exactly does Harden want to leave? In life, I'm making a general perspective on this. In life, if all things are equal, okay, if the money is basically the same, which it is if he's traded, he's being paid 36 million no matter what, basically. All right? If everything is equal and all things are as is, which is you're getting paid the same amount of money, you got to play the same number of games to make that money, make the playoffs, you get the same financial opportunities. So if everything financially is the same, it goes back to the question I've been asking here on 97.3 ESPN. What does James Harden want? Look, I appreciate the fact that Joel Embiid is so invested in bringing this guy back. It's cool. It's nice to see. And I respect Joel a ton for being so honest, so open, so upfront. But what is the exact reason that James Harden would want to get traded in the first place? Because you have an organization that wants you. The league MVP wants to play with you. Guys are signing here because they would like to play with you. The GM, the president of basketball operations, everybody wants you here. So why don't you want to be here? This is not like the Nets where Harden could get along with Nash. Harden was frustrated with Kyrie's unavailability while he was there. This isn't the Houston Rockets where the Rockets going through a rebuild. He didn't want to be there anymore. This isn't any of the situations. There is no mitigating factor that says I'm James Harden and I shouldn't want to be here. This feels like a perfect example of somebody who thinks the grass is greener on the other side all the time. Not understanding that all grass that gets water and photosynthesis is green, James. And this is what frustrates people like me with Harden. I've been asked by Mike Gill on the Sports Batch, why do I hate James Harden? I don't hate James Harden, the basketball player, as much as I hate James Harden, the person. I don't even think hate's the right word because, I save words like hate for bad people, like pedophiles and people like that. Those are people I hate. I don't hate James Harden. In fact, I guarantee you, if you gave me an hour to hang out with James Harden, James Harden, and a bottle of his wine, I think we would come to a great deal of understanding. I think there's a lot to James Harden that could be better understood if James Harden would just, communicate. Look, I know I haven't lived for a ton of time, and I'm sure there's plenty of you out there who are listening on 97.3 ESPN FM who are older than me. But I feel comfortable saying that in my 38, soon to be 39 years of life on this earth, I have a good enough history of being able to get along with a lot of different people and having to have worked with a lot of different people and having to have been associated with a lot of different types of people, I can comfortably say that James Harden is probably misunderstood more so than he is any other description. And I think the fact that Harden has expressed to the Sixers he wants to be traded, there's something going on with James that we don't know or understand. And I wish we did. Because right now, the regular Sixer fan out there, and I talked to you guys. Look, I was with some of you over in Ventnor on Saturday night, okay? Shout out to Joey D and Ventnor. When I talk to a lot of you fans, a lot of you guys, men and women, tell me the same thing. You don't understand James Harden. You don't think that he is a fit for this city. You don't want him on this team. And it comes back to more so about James Harden, the person, than anything else. James Harden, the person, is the problem. And it's not that James Harden's a bad person. In fact, I haven't heard anyone ever say that James Harden is a problem in the locker room. James Harden has never been in legal trouble outside of basketball, like major legal problems, like a John Morant has or other guys have. He's not like Charles Sprewell and choking anybody, his coach or his teammates. He's not Gilbert Arenas and pulling a gun in the locker room on his teammates. He's not Dennis Rodman and being a disruptive force in an organization. He's not any of those things. But when Freddie Coleman said this a few days ago on ESPN radio, I understood it, because this is how fans feel, because James Harden is not as transparent as a guy like Joel Embiid is. Freddie Coleman last week on 97.3 ESPN radio said this.
The players that the city wants them to represent them as far as that goes, because they saw that with their Eagles team getting to the Super Bowl. They saw that with their Philadelphia Phillies team getting to the World Series, where that represented the toughness of that town. And how much do we use the word fit? Maybe James Harden doesn't fit with Philadelphia anymore. Maybe everybody's come to that realization in the locker room. That's why he opted in, so he can be traded, because maybe we don't fit together anymore. And some of that, and it's just me spitballing, some of that has a lot to do maybe off the court. Joel Embiid seems to be the kind of guy that wants to include everybody. James Harden, for a lot of his career, always likes to be by himself.
And to use an analogy, and Freddie Coleman's right, okay? It's the difference between, for any of you who watch Parks and Recreation, okay? It's the difference between the character Leslie Knope and the character Ron Swanson. Joel Embiid is Leslie Knope. Leslie wants to be involved in everything. Leslie wants to do everything. Leslie wants to bring everybody together. Leslie is the life of the party, the heart of everybody. Ron Swanson is the opposite. Ron Swanson wants to be involved when he wants to be involved. Ron Swanson only wants to do what he wants to do. Now, I get it. Joel Embiid has been injured a lot. You could blame him for some of their playoff failings over the years. But Joel Embiid is a part of the team. He's part of the organization. He's part of the community. James Harden seems distant, aloof. But he's a good enough guy, and he's cool enough that other people don't have a problem with him, because they work with him. They know who he is. Ron Swanson is the same kind of character in Parks and Rec. Ron doesn't want to be bothered half the time. When it's something that Ron wants to do, he's the best person you can have on your side. Otherwise, don't bother him. Leave him alone. Ron Swanson is just as well off, hunting in the woods or chopping wood or doing his own thing. He doesn't want to be bothered. Leslie, nope. She wants to be bothered. She wants to be involved in everything. That's Joel Embiid. And I think the problem is that Joel Embiid says, I like James. James is my friend. I enjoy James. I appreciate James. And James probably said the same thing about Joel. I think James Harden likes Joel. I think if I got James Harden alone for an hour, me and him over a bottle of wine, I think James Harden would come out of that conversation much better understood than he is. But because he's so aloof and because he's so in his own little bubble and because I don't know if he knows what he wants in life, he's perceived a certain way. And many times perception becomes reality. Joel Embiid's trying to tell everybody, James is a good guy. James is my boy. We are friends forever. They are putting forevers and they got probably special inside jokes together. They got probably all kinds of stuff going on. But James Harden is the guy who thinks the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. He thinks every house that he lives in, that somewhere else has got a better bathroom. Somewhere else has got a better yard. Somewhere else has got a better porch. Somewhere else has got a better paint job on the exterior, on the exterior of the house. Somebody else has got a better shower. Okay? Somebody else has got a better something than he has right now. I think James forgets at the end of the day, a house is what you make of it. House is not the stuff that's in it. And if Joel Embiid can convince James Harden that the Sixers are not a better or worse opportunity than anywhere else, that no matter where he goes, it's on James to make the best of that situation. James will be back here next year. It's not beyond the idea that James could be back in the Sixers uniform next year. But I keep going back to this one point by Brian Windhorst. Because when Brian Windhorst said this on Friday's Get Up, this has stuck in my mind. And I keep telling you guys here on 97.3 ESPN. I've said it on the Sports Bash. I've said it here on Game Night. I've said it on the Locker with Billy Schwein on the weekend. I've said it everywhere anyone will listen to me. The obsession people have with a one-for-one deal is illogical. James Harden gets traded because a third team gets involved. And that's why when Brian Windhorst said this, I think it says a lot about the Sixers situation.
Remember, Daryl Morey has something up his sleeve. He is a very competent, very strategic executive. Don't make an assumption that he's ignoring Joel Embiid. Don't make any assumptions with him. I wish I could tell you exactly what he was planning. I know enough to know that he's got something going on and that he doesn't show anybody his hand.
I think at the end of the day, that's why a James Harden trade will happen. A guy like Brian Windhorst, of his pedigree, of his reputation, doesn't say something like that without reason. He knows something. He can't tell you what that something is, but Brian Windhorst knows something is going on. And I think that's the biggest reason why Harden will not be back. Because Harden is not the kind of guy who's going to tell you what he thinks and feels. Joel Embiid is. I mean, maybe it's an American thing. Maybe these American players, I just thought this, maybe these American players just don't have the self-confidence or the self-awareness to communicate properly. Because you know who some of the most open and honest players playing the NBA are today? They're all foreign-born players. Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Luka Doncic, Nikola Jokic. Remember, Jokic was the one who got on people because they were suggesting maybe Embiid shouldn't have gotten the MVP. Why are the foreign-born players so much more honest and the American-born players are so much more aloof and closed off and passive aggressive on social media. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. Coming up next, I'll give you some thoughts and picks for tonight's home run derby. And what did Nick Castellanos say about what his plans are for the All-Star game? Find out next.
Today on ESPN Radio.
Crush. Center field, forget.
The 2023 Major League Baseball Home Run Derby.
That one back there on its way, and that one is gone.
He just won it. Pete Alonso, Home Run Derby champ again.
The 2023 Major League Baseball Home Run Derby. Coverage begins today at 8 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Listen to Major League Baseball on 97.3 ESPN.
Your luxury BMW experience is closer than you think. Take advantage of exceptional savings at BMW of Atlantic City. Stop in and shop your favorite models, including the new BMW 2 Series, X3, and more. We're sure to have a vehicle that fits your needs. And with Acceleride, purchase your vehicle online and we'll deliver it directly to you. Looking to trade? We'll pay top dollar for your current vehicle. Experience luxury today at BMW of Atlantic City, closer than you think. In Egg Harbor Township, shop our complete inventory online at bmwatlanticcity.com.
Where are we on the lineup?
It's official. Avery is producing Main Street Music
We
Days.
need to be ready. We're going to have lots of people. What's the status on the new sound engineer?
They need an audio technician to keep
Remember to
things
get
level
both
from
right.
sound checks to encores.
Make sure audio from one stage does not compete with another.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, this is Josh from 97.3 ESPN. If your air conditioning isn't keeping you cool, or if you're worried about sky-high electric bills, I recommend you call Jenkins Plumbing and Heating today about a new system from American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning or a Mitsubishi ductless system. Take advantage of financing of up to $15,000 from South Jersey Gas or Atlantic City Electric. New AC system can save you 25 to 35% on your AC bill. Call Jenkins at 609-641-6440, online at jenkinsandsons.com.
The Dell Technologies Black Friday and July event has arrived with limited quantity deals on top tech to power any passion. Save on select XPS PCs and more powered by the latest Intel Core processors. Plus, get savings on select monitors and accessories, free shipping, and monthly payment options with Dell Preferred Account. Save today by calling 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL. Offered to U.S. residents by WebBank, who determines qualifications for and terms of credit.
Are you getting hit hard by low trade offers?
Ouch! That was a blindside.
That's a personal foul. Don't get blindsided by low trade offers. Bring any trade to Matt Platt Kia. Just because you don't see your new Kia on the lot doesn't mean you can't be driving it home tomorrow. Select from hundreds of new and certified Kias.
It's gotta be a Matt Black Kia.
Matt Platt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
At the Home Depot, we'll get your kitchen clicking with savings on top brand appliances like a new LG CounterDepth Max refrigerator with ultra-large capacity on the inside and a seamless look on the outside. Or an LG oven with built-in air fryer for crispier, healthier cooking. Plus, with convenient shopping in-store and online at the Home Depot, your innovative new appliances are just a click away too. Final days to get special buy savings plus up to $1,000 off select kitchen appliances like this exclusive LG kitchen package at the Home Depot. Ends July 12th.
Why would someone looking for a mortgage at the Jersey Shore take a loan from a company in Detroit or North Carolina or some other far-off place? Online mortgages promise a lot, but don't always deliver. First Bank of Sea Isle City knows the Jersey Shore. We are local lenders. We use local appraisers and provide in-house processing. We understand the unique obstacles of financing. Don't take a chance. Local banking is better. Let us guide you. First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
It may be brought to you by Jenkins and Sons. One call does it all. You need to call the drain guy, the heater guy, the plumbing guy, whatever you need done in your home. Air maintenance, service, plumbing, heating, air conditioning, repairs. Just call 609-641-6440. and visit them online at jenkinsandsons.com. Home Run Derby is, I told you guys earlier in the show, the Home Run Derby is one of the things I look forward to a lot. So I'm going to get into that when it comes to who I think is going to win tonight, or at least some good picks for tonight. I never get these things exactly right, but I always get pretty close. So we'll see if I can give you guys another winner like I did on Friday's show when I told you guys Robbie Lawler plus 195 to win. How about Robbie Lawler with a walk-off? Guy wins by knockout, retires. What a crazy career that guy's had. Before we get to that, 609-403-0973 is the text world where we find George Summers Point chiming in and says, "Hey, Josh, I'd like to hear your ranking of the current All-Star games in all four major sports. What's your favorite? What's your least favorite? Thanks as always, George in Summers Point." Well, the least favorite, George Summers Point, is the easiest answer. That's the Pro Bowl. I don't even know what they're doing anymore. I feel like the Pro Bowl, I'm completely confused about what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know why they're doing it. I think it's just dumb. So, I think that's that when it comes to that's the least favorite. You know, I get the idea that if you're not going to have the guys, hit each other, you want to give them some other incentives to play. It's just a joke at this point. It's a complete joke at this point to me. So that is my least favorite. My favorite is tough because it's either baseball or basketball. And I have a strong affinity for both because I like the game of baseball's All-Star game because it's the one All-Star game that is still true to the game itself. I like the basketball All-Star game because I like the fact that they changed the format. I like the Elam rule for something like that. I think it spices things up and makes it a little extra interesting. So that for me is why I would probably rank them like this. Baseball 1, Major League Baseball 1, NBA 2, NHL is 3rd, and the only reason why they're ahead of the NFL is because they're still playing hockey. Football is 4th because I don't even understand what they're doing half the time anymore. And I think it's a joke that Tyler Huntley was a Pro Bowler and they couldn't find anybody else put in the anthem. That was absolutely embarrassing. George Source Point, appreciate you chiming in over on the DMs on 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. James chimes in and says, "Hey, Josh, how about Ian Happ of the Cubs? He could be the Phillies left fielder. Your thoughts?" Well, two issues with Happ. One is, do the Cubs want to give up a guy who is under control of the franchise through 2026? He's playing out his arbitration money this year, but he has a contract he signed, an extension. That's 3 years, $61 million. So through his age 31 season, he is on a fairly team-friendly contract. Are the Cubs interested in giving up a guy entering his prime under that kind of contract? That's the first question, James. Second of all, Ian Happ is a switch hitter. He's not a right-handed hitter. He is a switch hitter. So he is not truly fixing your left-right issue in your lineup. And when you look at his splits this year, I'm not going to act like I'm that impressed with him as a right-handed hitter. He has a worse batting average as a right-hander against lefties than he is as a left-hander against righties. He has hit 0 home runs this year against left-handed pitching. He has 9 of his 39 RBI against left-handed pitching. So while on paper he's a switch hitter, statistically, he's a much better left-handed hitter than right-handed hitter. So I think that's a bit of a Forgazy solution for the Phillies. Do I hate Ian Happ, the player? No, I like him as a player, but I don't know if he's the fit for the Phillies. But James, I appreciate you chiming in on the DMs on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. All right, let's break down this home run derby here. I told you guys earlier, Mookie Betts basically told you, don't bet on me, okay? So I'm not even going to suggest Mookie as an option, all right? Here are the matchups in the first round. So it's Pete Alonso versus Julio Rodriguez. I feel like that's a coin flip thing. I would lean Alonso, but there's no betting value with him. Whereas Julio Rodriguez, again, is in front of his home crowd. Does Rodriguez get the home crowd behind him? Now, every year Alonso's done the home run derby, he's had a different pitcher. Does the different pitcher, how does that impact him this year? Adonis Garcia versus Randy Arozarena. Randy Arozarena is a streaky guy. Plus 130 feels like it's a good value to lock in Arozarena to get out of that round. Nothing against Garcia. I think Garcia is a phenomenal hitter, but I think Arozarena is a hotter guy when he gets going. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to beat Mookie Betts. Let's move on. Luis Roberts Jr. versus Adley Rutschman is the one that I am the most curious about. Because Luis Roberts Jr., when you think of home run hitters, you're not necessarily thinking of Luis Roberts that much. He's having the best year of his career this year. His 21 home runs this year is already his 26 homers this year is already a career high. Last year he had 12. The year before he had 13. I think he's a little overrated. Adley Rutschman is considered one of the biggest prospects come to Major League Baseball in a long time. This dude is a stud. He's only in his second year in the big leagues, and he's already showing you why he was a big-time prospect. All right? This is a guy in 2 seasons. He already has an over 4 slug percentage in both years. Luis Roberts, he's got a really good slug percentage, but he hasn't hit a lot of home runs before this year. I'm kind of feeling Rutschman. I feel like Rutschman is probably the better hitter of the two, and he's probably the guy who's going to have the better launch angle at this point. So I like Rutschman at plus 198. So those are the two main bets I like getting out of the first round. Randy Arozarena plus 130, Adley Rutschman plus 198. Home run derby overall, Pete Alonso plus 330, Vlad Guerrero plus 350, Julio Rodriguez for the home fans plus 500, Adolis Garcia plus 500, Randy Arozarena plus 1,000. Those are the only ones that I like. And if I had to block it down to 3, Alonso, Guerrero Jr., Julio Rodriguez. I just think Julio is one of the best talents in baseball. He's in front of the hometown crowd. Pete Alonso, he's a beast. He's already won this a couple times. Vlad Guerrero Jr., the guy's too talented to not win one of these home run derbies. Coverage of the home run derby begins tonight, 8 p.m. right here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Josh Hennig hanging out with you. Don't forget your next opportunity to qualify for the Phillies trip giveaway. Today's one of the final days for you. Get those phones ready because your opportunity is now. There's the sounder. Caller 6 and 7 at 609 573 3776. 609 573 3776. Caller 6 and 7. You will be qualified for an all-expenses paid trip to a Phillies game. Travel, hotel. You get to party pregame. You get to go to the game. You get to have a great old time. This is a weekend getaway to watch the Phillies play in Pittsburgh. Hang with Mike Gillen from the Sports Patch. Caller 6 and 7. You qualify to go to Furies and Wildwood this Friday, where you must be present to win. Caller 6 and 7, 609-573-3776. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. I'll catch you tomorrow.